Hello, everyone who can hear me right now. Thank you for joining our event. Thank you for joining our workshop, rather, on AI and insurance. Just 1 second. Great. Welcome everyone to our workshop on how AI can transform the insurance industry. If you've already joined us, we'll just give a couple of minutes for other people to join as well, and then we'll kick off the event. Thank you for being with us today, and we look forward to delivering some really crucial insights as to how AI can revolutionize insurance. All right, catch you guys in 2 minutes. Yeah, I think that's a good time to start. Welcome everybody who joined us today for this workshop. If you guys have any questions, any comments, you can keep dropping them in the comment section of the LinkedIn event or wherever you're watching this event, and we'll pick them up at the end of the workshop. So let me first begin by giving you a quick introduction of Omdena as a company. So, Omdena is the world's largest AI development network with more than 20,000 AI professionals who have worked on various projects for us over the world. We have a presence in more than 80 countries with more than 650 real world AI solutions developed by us. And of course, that number is growing um, like as we speak. So that's a brief overview. How we do this is we've structured our work in 3 different stages. At the basis level, we have our local hubs, our local chapters. These are chapters that we establish in various cities in more than 80 countries around the world. And here we educate people when it comes to AI. We upskill them and we have them participate in challenges that are local to their area where AI can really make a change. On top of this, we have our innovation challenges that are done by our top talents who are people who have worked with us and basically achieved a level of expertise. These challenges are more focused. They come up. They are based on a very important challenge that AI can be applied in a novel way. So this is where we do most of our innovation work. This is where we push the boundary of AI with every project that we do. And on top, we have Omdena Elite, where we have basically 2 sections. One is product engineering, where we work with companies who want custom AI solutions, and we build that for them and we deploy that for them. And we have a grassroots AI project where we collaborate with governments, different international governments, and establish AI infrastructure and AI education facilities to upskill their citizens and create an environment where AI solutions can be used to further the development of that country. We believe that AI should be for the people and by the people, so we never forget the human element of AI because there is a lot of talk about how AI is supposed to replace humans or AI is supposed to take away the work that we do. We don't believe that. We believe that should be at the center of our AI development efforts. Humans should always be overseeing the progress that AI makes. And to that end, we make sure that every project that we do is done by people who have a more nuanced understanding of the circumstances of the scenarios that this AI will be used in. And, the solution that we make is equitable and ethical for everyone involved. We work with like various types of partners. We work with NGOs, we work with SMEs, we work with startups to deliver solutions around the world. We've worked with more than 60 civil society partners and governments and dozens and dozens of other organizations. So that's sort of a brief overview of the work Omdena has been up to. But now let's get into the topic of our session today, which is insurance. So let me introduce our speaker. James is our Vice President of Partnerships in Africa. He is a data scientist himself, and he's a business development expert, which really comes in handy when you have both those things in one person. So that's great. And he manages Omdena's partnerships across more than 30 chapters across Africa. So he has a lot of experience in the field of insurance, especially with coming up with solutions, AI-based solutions for insurance companies. So we brought him on here to share his experiences and share his insights. So I'll pass it on to you, James.
Well, thank you, Kunal. And I think thank you for the brief introduction. And hi, everyone. I'm very delighted to have you in this beautiful session of today. And I'll just request a bit of your attention. I just don't want to take most of your time as we walk together along this journey today. So part of this session, I just want to share with you first the overall landscape when it comes to modern insurance. What has been in terms of the trajectory of the insurance industry as well, and how emerging technologies such as AI could be very pivotal for transformation of the industry. So as we go to the next slide, so part of this, we're going to observe into that. So why insurance service is a necessity, it's a necessary services. We need it as part of our life. We need it as part of our daily businesses. The key thing that we see as part of these insurance services is that as people, as individuals, as businesses, risk in life is inevitable. Life can become uncertain in sometimes. And with that situation, with that given overview, we need a certain security in terms of protection. And with that challenge, so as insurance companies saw that as an opportunity to provide us with a service in terms of financial protection, to be able to navigate life uncertain situations and to be able to overcome unexpected losses. So part of these services, we either as individuals or as businesses, we actually benefit in terms of ensuring economical stability and actually being able to distribute the risk that we incur across the large pool of policyholders. So whether we as individuals or businesses, with that financial protection, it gives us an opportunity to recover from different disasters, accidents, and other diverse events. As we know, life accidents, life disasters are actually, they come at any time on your door, and you just need to be prepared for that. So we look further as we go, as we live further into our webinar session. So can you go on the other slide, please? So the main key thing that we observe on the insurance industry, there are key elements or components that incorporate industry as well. And today I'll just share with you the main key for components of the industry as well. So part of these components, when we talk about the insurance companies, that the insurance industry, it comprises with companies that provide the insurance services. And part of these services and products, I presume you and me are, you can be are the witnesses. Probably we've been able to, I'm sure that we're already using some services such as property insurance services, life insurance services, health-related insurance services. as I'm also one of good user of health insurance services, so I'm a beneficiary of these type of services. But there are a lot more when it comes to vehicles. Some of us have vehicles here, so I'm already utilizing these vehicle insurance services. But where do we stand along this overview in terms of the industry? So part of the insurance industry, there are these policy holders. When I talk about policyholders, what I mean are the beneficiaries of the insurance at all, in terms of the insurance services as well. So whether it's you or as individuals or as a business, so we stand as a policyholder where we dispute the risk together with other peers. And part of this, the risk that we dispute will be actually coordinated and held with the insurance companies. But on the other aspect of this industry, what we see is the claims. Claims is a very pivotal component of the insurance industry as well, where as accidents and life challenges comes along, sometimes we need access to this funding to be able to navigate these life-threatening situations. And the vehicle that we need to leverage in terms of accessing this funding from these insurance companies is a claim. And when it comes to claims, so we need to file a claim so we can access back our financial resources to be able to navigate some life incidents. So part of this, we see a lot of challenges when it comes to claim processing, claim verification, because this is one of the key area that it drives the wool industry in general, because the wool industry is laid, the foundation of the wool industry is laid on the claim processing. And one of the key challenges that we observed, part of this claim verification and claim processing, is that um, part of this claim processing, as looking back, it has been very traditional driven process. It's a manual driven process that you need to write some claim documents and then file those claim documents and then submit them out. And then the investigators have to investigate the incident and be able to evaluate if that incident is actually enough to be able to, is it sufficient or is it validated in terms of what you're actually claiming up. And then from there you can be able, so the company will be able to compensate you for those resources. So one of the key challenges that we see is that if you pull from the statistics that we observed recently from the Global Insurance Fraud Summit, the insurance fraud within the insurance sector, it accounts over 10 to 15% of total claims globally. And this in terms of the total claims cost. And what we see when you look at the insurance industry in Europe itself, the studies are showing that in Europe alone, it costs over 13 billion euros annually in terms of losses that are happening due to fraudulent activities. So the question still remains is that how can we mitigate these issues given the existing event and challenges out that happens within the sector? So part of this also, the other key aspect that we observed is that the insurance industry is as well is typical also insurance when it comes to claim processing is typically an expensive process. It's a very costly process. And if you look in terms of the data that has been observed, the study that has been conducted with one of the leading consulting firms, Accenture, is that insurance companies typically spend over 15% of their total operations on the claim processing and claim verification, which this connects that what we observe in terms of all these insurance companies, most of them, they have over 500 to 700 employees that are only focusing on the aspects of investigations of claim, just to detect activities. And which we observe this is a very expensive process. And what we also see is that with technologies as AI, there's a lot of opportunity for us to transform this process. First, to lower the costs and to be able to mitigate the fraud activities that are associated with the claim processing. So we'll look at this further as we delay further. Can you go to the next slide? Thank you. So I think before we see, as right now we have seen the major key problems that are associated with the industry. So let's try to look a bit in terms of the overall workflow. So I'm sure there might be some people here from the industry and who might be also familiar with the typical workflow that involves with claim verification. So when it comes to verifying these claims, there are a series of workflows, as this is a very old process, it's a very matured process, and it comprises a series of steps. where one of the first steps is about notification, which I, as a policy holder, whether I'm standing as an individual, as a businesses, first I'll need to file a claim. Whether it's a hard copy or a soft copy, it either depends on how it's documented. So from that point of view is that I'll need to first provide information on the incidents that I've acquired. And then from there, so the first thing is about so as a policyholder, so we'll have to first notify the insurance company, the insurance, the insurer, and then from there, so I'll have to document this the incident, providing relevant documents and supporting documents of the incidents. Because if I got a car accident, so how much is that car worth it? If my house got burnt out, so how much is that house worth it? So typically I cannot just come from nowhere and actually just say I need to access some funding because my house got burned out. So verify this. So when it comes to the paper, how much worth it was that property? When it comes to the vehicles and that kind of thing. So we need other supporting documents to verify whether it's about you are going through health situations, medical situation, and you need to verify how much do you need for that medical condition, for medical support. So the second stage is about documenting this, and then after you've documented, so you submit your document. This can either be a traditional document in terms of hard paper-based document, or there's a soft copy document. As the technology is growing, so we are seeing a lot of adoption of digital devices. So the third step is about investigation, where part of this, the insurance company will need to go and investigate if what you are claiming is actually valid. So I'm actually claiming that I need support over a 30,000 US dollar car. So they have to go and validate if that's equivalent that amount of money given to the amount of car that you actually lost it in that. So we'll go further and we'll observe this further as we move through our presentation. So the other thing is that after they've investigated, they'll have to evaluate what you're actually claiming in terms of the cost, in terms of the cost, the validation of the scenario, in terms of the incidents that you've incurred, and actually make sure that if this is actually a valid claim. And then once that claim is being approved, we go to the fifth point, which is about the settlement. So the claim is being approved, and the insurance company will actually settle with the policyholders to actually provide the compensation for the damage. And then after there, so there'll be a continuous process of resolution, which will be in terms of actually providing out the policyholder will actually receive the agreed upon compensation or financial support for the accident or the incident that has occurred. So this is just to show you a typical workflow that involves the whole claim verification process. So, but as we see the process, still the process is not, there are a lot of flaws through the process. And with the flaws that are happening through the process, we see a lot of opportunities of emerging technology to transform the process. And part of this emerging technology today is AI technology. So part of our main question about today's discussion is about how can AI make this better? So when it comes to the whole industry.
Yeah, James, we just lost you for a few seconds there. Could you maybe repeat what you were saying in the past? Okay, I think yeah, James is having issues with his internet. So let me just, by the time he's back, let me talk about a few case studies of how AI can factor into the insurance process and the different ways that AI can make it better, right? So the first thing that I'd like to share with you is a challenge we did with a company called Turaco in the USA, where we built an AI computer vision model that takes in all the documentation that comes in. Now, a lot of this documentation doesn't necessarily come in a format that is very easy for people to go over, to select from, to verify. because it's either in the form of a hard copy, paper document, or it's in the form of a PDF, which has a lot of challenges when it comes to translating that into text that can be fed into the system. So the system that we built with Turaco took in these hard copies, these PDFs, converted them into a TXT format that can be taken in by the AI model, and then it performed eligibility checks. So fraudulent activity could be detected in real time, much quicker than waiting for digitalization of the documents and then performing any checks on fraud or any checks on eligibility, right? So that's the first one. We have James back here, so I'll just pass it on to him for the rest of our case studies.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kunal. And internet issues in Africa are just not inevitable. So you have to face this. Is also one of the accidents that we also probably need to have the insurance services for this
We
time.
should get
But yeah,
insurance for internet in Africa.
yeah. So well, coming again back to our session. So thank you so much, Kunal, for carrying up. So I think part of the other aspect that we've worked, I think, as Kunal has earlier explained, so part of our initial work with Turaco, so the main goal was how can we leverage AI technology to advance, to facilitate in terms of digitalizing the whole process of the claims verification. So with LCR models, we can actually detect, we can actually digitalize those traditional documented claims in terms of PDF, in terms of hard copy claims, to actually to be able to be digitalized, and then for further processing and further optimization. So, and this is very pivotal when we want to have more efficient process for fraudulent activity in terms of fraudulent activity detection. So without further ado, let's look further to part of the work that we had with our partner in Hong Kong. And part of this particular work, what we had done, we worked with MediConnect. Primary goal of this particular project was actually to detect the fraud pattern. A claim process is, if you go back into terms of the claim verification workflow, typically it's a very tedious process. It's a time-consuming process. It's a resource-consuming process. So what we wanted as Omdena and in partnering with MedConnect is that we wanted to lower the time to first validate those claims, to have first initial preliminary investigation in terms of analysis. Part of this model were actually to analyze, to conduct initial eligibility in terms of having an initial check if there are any fraudulent activities, by detecting any key patterns in terms of the keywords and other things that were actually mentioned on those claims. So, and the main key thing, so from that point of view, so the AI model will actually vet that claim if it will be something that will need to go the next step of further processing. So this so this so actually so part of referring back what I was saying is that so this will actually allow the MedConnect team to actually lower the time that it takes to process these claims, and actually leading to a better efficient process, and be able to more efficiently detect fraud patterns within those claims. So as we delve further into the next slide, can you go to the next slide, Kunal? Thank you. So part of our final part of work that we have done as Omdena is that we actually work with this company known as Flax Data, which is an island-based company. And one of the key part of this project, it was an 8-week length project where particularly our main objective was actually to detect anomalies within clinical data. And part of the good thing that we observe with AI, not only we can be able to detect fraud and lower the cost, but in parallel with that, we can be able to save lives. So in partnership with this Flask Data company, an Ireland-based company, so what we had as a primary goal in terms of this project was actually to develop a RESTful API that will actually automate in terms of anomaly detection of clinical data. And when I talk about the automate the anomaly detection, this is very specifically in terms of drug, prescripted drugs. So as a patient, especially when it comes to the healthcare. One of the key things is that as a beneficiary of an healthcare health insurance, so part of it, when I go to an healthcare service provider, so with utilizing my service that I have as an insurance beneficiary, so part of it, I think I'll need to, in terms of acquiring the services, so the health provider will prescribe some drugs that are associated with the disease that I'm having. So in that point of view, so the drugs will also need to be utilized in terms of the whole costs of the service and the drugs that will be prescribed to the patient. That all will be included in terms of the cost that the health provider will claim to this health to the health insurance service provider. So with that kind of data pattern, what we saw is a unique opportunity for us to detect the fraudulent activity. So to detect first if there's any false information that is associated with the drugs and the clinical notes in terms of the clinical trials. And then from that point of view, correlate those data if actually this is actually validate information. So with the claim that will be actually later submitted from the health provider to the insurance service providers. So this with this particular work which we saw is a unique opportunity for AI to actually be leveraged with insurance companies and support with the healthcare providers in terms of first detecting drug anomalies and be able to validate claims that are coming from these healthcare providers. So we're actually saving lives and we're actually making the process more efficient and lowering out the fraudulent activities out of it. So I hope there's a lot more that I'll be happy to share with you. But for the sake of time, I'd like to put a pause here and provide the mic over to Kunal that will take you as he delivers further to other parts of this session. Thank you so much. And I look forward to have you as part of this session. Thank you so much.
Thanks, James. So, what I'm going to share with you today is one of our proudest case studies, one of the places that we really use AI in a very novel and innovative way to sort of push the boundaries of what AI can achieve, and that is in the realm of vehicle insurance. Now, when we talk about vehicle insurance, in a lot of countries in the world, having insurance with your car, with your vehicle, is a legal requirement, and even where it's not, a majority of people opt for it because traffic accidents happen the most. I mean, if you're talking about medical insurance, how the rate at which that is claimed, or life insurance, the rate at which that is claimed, uh, compared to that, vehicle insurance, the claims and the volume, the amount of insurance that is sold in the vehicular sector, and the amount of claims that come in is much, much higher because millions of cars out in the road, they're going to collide with something, they're going to collide with each other, and claims are going to have to be processed and sent, right? So what we face in this domain of insurance is a very, very high volume. Uh, And with this high volume come a lot of inefficiencies because if I am a claim verification agent and I have 100 cases to go through every day, that's not I'm not going to be able to do that in 2 days. So with the volume, with the amount of claims that come in, vehicle insurance tends to slow down, tends to get backlogged a lot in day-to-day life. And with that comes slow claim verification, slow settlement, slow resolution. And throughout this whole process, of course, the policyholder and the customer is getting dissatisfied, getting disenchanted by the whole process. And we don't want that because we want to retain our customers. So that's sort of the problem statement that this company came to us with. Uh, yeah. So, in order to help with this situation, what we decided to set as our goals was that we wanted to automate the way that uh, damage assessment and fraud detection is done in vehicle insurance using AI. In this particular case, we used computer vision to achieve that. We wanted to streamline the claim processing uh, you know workflow, make it much more efficient, less intensive, and much faster, and of course detect any cases of fraud that pop up on the way. So to solve this, we split our efforts into two areas. The first was fraud detection, so just detecting fraud. So any fraudulent claims can directly be denied or taken into further consideration by agents on the ground if it needs be. And the second was damage assessment, which is a bit more complex, and I'll come to the reasons why. So for fraud detection, the most basic type of fraud that is seen in the vehicle insurance industry is people claim that they've been in an accident, and to prove that, they submit an image from a different vehicle or a different accident as, this is the proof that I've been in an accident, got hit from behind, my window is broken, can I get my money? So the most basic way to solve this is to just verify whether this is the car that the policyholder registered himself as. And to achieve that, we have license plates. So this is something that needs to be done quickly. First, basic level of check. And for that, we used an enhanced OCR system that was purpose built for license plates, right? So it knew through the data we fed into this model, it knew what a license plate is supposed to look like, read that license plate properly, if there are any imperfections, if there's any damage, check if that damage is consistent with the accident, and that the number plate isn't being obscured on purpose, and just have that first level of you know fraud detection ready to go whenever you need it. We also used a sophisticated image comparison tool to compare the license plate image to our records, because today, Photoshop has existed for a very long time, but now in the world of AI, it's easy to just sort of put in your number plate, take a picture of that, put it into something else, and use that as your proof for your insurance claim. So the model that we built also compared the model of the car, the make of the car, with the vehicle license plate number that has been provided into the system, verify that all of those details are correct as well, and detect fraud that way. So that sort of formed the first part of our model, which was based on fraud detection. Then we move on to car damage assessment. Now, this is more complicated because not only do you need to detect whether this is fraudulent or whether this is actually damage, we need to analyze and come to a conclusion as to how damaged the vehicle is. Um, how do you do that? The AI has never been in a car. The AI doesn't know what an accident looks like, at least not right out the bat. It doesn't know what parts cost how much. It doesn't know, what level of accident causes what level of damage. So to fix that, to make sure that our AI knew what it was doing in the first place, we took a database of a lot of like accidents and insurance claims that have happened in the past, right? Because this was an insurtech company, they had a database ready to go with all of these hundreds of thousands of images that can be analyzed by the AI model. And we trained the model on these database. And the data that it took was, okay, this is the picture of the accident. This is how much the final repair cost came to, because these were the different parts that were damaged. Now, that is one claim. Now, imagine 100,000 claims. All of this was fed into the model so that it can, know that it can look at the damage caused to a particular vehicle. It can remember previous instances of similar types of damage, make sure that the damage is consistent with what is being claimed, and based on that, assess how much damage has actually happened. For that, what we used was a convolutional neural network that can think in that manner, that can take in that data and think and analyze whether the like how much rather the damage has been caused. Now, the, of course, that's like in this model also, in this part of the model also, there is fraud that can happen, right? I can like smash my own window and I can say, oh, I got hit by a car from behind and my window broke. Give me the money. So at that level, this the data that we trained this AI with also came with previous attempts of fraud, right? So it also learned how to detect whether um, all the claims. It also learned to detect all the claims that were judged as fraud by people on the ground. So that you have that level of verifiability, and it can then look at that image, think that is that consistent? Is that the amount of damage that should be caused? Is or some parts seem intact, some parts seem broken. Is that okay? So there's some fraud detection happening on this level as well. So yeah, so that's how we built the system, and we tested this. So how we usually do it is if we get a large data set, we use 80% of that data to train the AI model, and then we use 20% of that data to test the model. Before, of course, we don't want to just train it and then release it out into the wild and hope it works, right? We need to verify whether it works the way we want it to. And in testing, we saw that the AI model, if not 100% accuracy, tell you that, hey, this is how much damage has been caused and this is how much it will cost. Uh, it can give you a good enough level to start on that the rest of your process of verification doesn't take that much time and doesn't require that much effort. And so we achieved that. Now, the best part, I would say, achievement that we took away from this was we also managed to come up with, we also managed to train the system to give us a repair cost estimation as well. So not only is now the system telling you whether the claim is accurate and not fraudulent, it is also telling you like how much you should settle with the policyholder for. So the whole process of, oh, these are the parts. Let me write that down. This is the model. This is how much it should cost. Go through all the previous records of how much we settled for before, and then go and tell the user what how much money they're getting. The model just gives you that amount. You can go to the policyholder, and you can start the whole process of negotiating the settlement and resolving the claim. So using all of these advanced data science methods, using all these advanced computer vision methods, we cut down on the amount of time and resources it takes to do a claim verification from something that would take weeks to do to something that takes a few hours to do. And that's what we're here for, aren't we? That's what we need to cut down on the amount of money and human resources that we're currently spending on just claim verification. And considering that companies are spending 15% of their total operating costs, as James mentioned earlier, on just verifying these claims and verifying these applications, even if this system manages to cut that down to 5%, we're talking about millions upon millions in cost saved for the company. So, and this is just one way we've done it. This is just with the data that we were provided by one company, right? So, with a more holistic view, with this model, if we take this model, right, we train it on more data, it becomes better the more data you feed it. If you give it more advanced features, it becomes better at doing its job. It basically perfects itself with every iteration. So the scale of the scope of using AI in insurance is, I would say, unlimited at this point. And this is why we want insurance companies to really look into adopting AI for their companies, right? So yeah, that's it from my end and from the presentation overall. We will now move to the questions section of the presentation. And as I mentioned at the start of the presentation, please drop your questions in the comments wherever you're watching our session today, and we will answer your questions as they come in. Let's start with our first question. Tanvi asks, "What factors decided whether claims were fraudulent?" James, I'll pass it on to you if you have anything to add, but let me take up this question first. Thank you for the question, Tanvi. So let me go back to the solution that we built with our insurtech partner in Hong Kong. Fraudulent activity when it comes to insurance, there are certain patterns that pop up again and again. If I have if I'm in an accident, or if I suddenly fall sick, right? Um, there you can predict what I will do next to some extent. If I have a close family doctor that I go to usually, um, that is normal behavior. If that comes into the insurance documentation, you can be like, okay, that's their family doctor. That's why they're going over there. But you see, I deviate from that a little bit. I go to a different doctor. This is a doctor that, has a sort of dicey history when it comes to, uh, you know, the medication that they're providing or the healthcare that they're providing, or they're not consistent when they, provide any supporting reports when it comes to insurance claims. Now I know that this person decided to go to this other doctor for what reason. So you can pick up on stuff like this. And as a human right now sitting here, I can look at one case and I can be like, oh, okay, that's suspicious. But when you're using AI, the AI can detect this sort of activity, these patterns of fraud in thousands of cases every day, right? So in the case study that you see on the screen right now, we managed to cut down their eligibility checks down to 2 minutes, uh, and that's just through the patterns, right? And of course, there's a lot of concern about false positives, right? AI can again, AI does not exist in the real world. It does not exist in a physical space. How can it know if fraud is happening better than a human? And that's one of the points that we want to make. It doesn't, but it can give you a good enough signal to go on to then have manual verification come in, really analyze the patterns that the AI has picked up on, verify whether that is, consistent with uh, what you know of the real world, and make your decisions based on that. So the time and resources are cut down, but human intervention will always be necessary. So when again, as I said in the beginning, AI is not here to take your jobs. AI is here to improve your jobs. So that's. I hope that answers your question, Tanvi, on what factors we sort of use to detect fraud in the system. Um, we have another question. Francis asks, what type of input does the model need to detect the fraudulent claims? James, you want to take that? Should I go ahead? Okay, I think we've lost James actually. So to answer your question, Francis, what it needs is data. Every AI model, the more data you provide it, the better it performs. So all the time, any data that you can provide it, right? So in the case study that we spoke about motor insurance, about vehicle insurance, of course there was the pictures of the accident, the application that the policyholder had submitted when they bought the insurance in the first place. Then there is the the claim that they're providing, any estimates that they've gotten from their own end, any documentation that they provided as a supporting, you know, supporting document to the claim. Whatever, the whole, uh, everything you have on that case, right? You feed it to the AI. And the AI is trained on examples of all of these different types of data. It has read a lot of applications. It has read a lot of claims. It has seen a lot of pictures of accidents that have happened in the past. It has seen the kind of documentation that people provide to verify their claims. And it takes all of that. It forms an understanding of the current incident. It compares that to what it knows about incidents in the past, and then it gives you an output that you can then use, right? So when it comes to what data, all the data, give it all the data, train it on all the data, test it on all the data, and every claim that you are verifying, give everything you have on that case to the AI model, and it'll make that decision for you. Okay, Francis has another question. What are the common aspects of fraudulent claims in motor insurance that you consider? So as I said, there are different types of fraud, you could say, right? Um, so you could say that, oh, this is my car. I hit a tree somewhere, or I hit another car somewhere, and oh, this entire side of my car is damaged. Or I got hit from behind, and the back of my car is damaged. And now verifying that, you can, go there personally. You can be like Sherlock and just replay the accident in your head. Oh, the car came in this angle. Oh, then this is the sort of damage that should be there, but it's not consistent with this. Like, just make that level of analysis, which is difficult. Which you can't send Sherlock Holmes to verify every claim. So that's why the common aspects of fraud is you can't always explain in clear terms the exact aspects that were considered. That's where we go into the realm of explainability. And we try to build our models with high explainability. And at this point, if you want to know what aspects are considered, which if it's insurance, it might get caught up in legal stuff. So that is information that you might need. Then the AI will be like, okay, these are the references that I used to verify whether the damage was consistent with what was claimed. This is the kind of documentation that was found in previous cases that were considered in this case to tell whether a fraud had happened. And you can take that then, and if the policyholder wants more information as to why their claim was rejected, you can provide that to them and then take the conversation forward from there. So the AI thinks differently from us because it thinks on uh, like a set of data in real time, but not it doesn't think like humans do. But if you build explainable AI models, they will be able to tell you how they came to a solution. So explainability is something that always needs to be considered when we talk about AI models. James, if you want to add anything to that.
Um, well, I think um, I think part of it was it comes to the fact of explainability. I think that's a very, very pivotal thing because we're talking all about risk. But even with these AI models, there's an element way that we can convey what's happening underneath the process when it comes to processing those data or this claim processing in that sense. Interested about the question from Tambi, which I think Kunal mentioned up in terms of the factor, and I think aligning with some of the points that my colleague Kunal has earlier described about. one of the key things that I was actually seeing, and what we actually see in terms of the potential of AI, and first in terms of identifying the factors, because the key thing is that when you talk about a typical AI model, the main key thing is that we train it to identify the key factors. And given the existing outcomes in terms of the in terms of the trained factors, so it can actually predict what will be the possible scenarios, what will be the possible activities. So when you talk about first factors that are associated with fraudulent activities, given that if I just want to share with you out when it comes to the factors that are associated with fraudulent activities, part of it, I think when it comes to these claims, there are some key factors that are associated with that. Because one of the key things is that what we see in a case, let's say, for example, I think as one of my colleagues Kunal mentioned up. So imagine that you're kind of a vehicle owner and you just got an accident and you just want to claim that to an insurance company that actually got an accident. And when you are claiming out that you got an accident, so the thing that you'll need is a validating document in terms of how much is your car worth it. So you need supporting documents in terms of that validate the price and how is it worth it. And then you need the damage that you had, whether it needs a mechanical repair or it's you need. What we see in terms of the factor that are associated with the fraudulent activities, in terms first, if you're lacking supporting documents, relevant supporting documents, maybe what you are quoting on the claim document is different with the supporting document. There's inconsistency between information. So with this text-based information, for example, if you go in our first work canal with Tiraco, so, for example, with these OCR models that we built with Toraco, first they can actually map those textual information with those claim documents. And then actually from the supporting documents that are actually attached with those claims, one of the key things that we want to observe is the consistency of those information. So if I was saying this accident, so the date that incident has occurred, the price evaluation, the other things that other supporting documents that are actually relevant to the incident, are they consistent with what you're actually claiming on that? So that also helps them to validate. So if that's a very manual process when you talk right now, it's very traditional oriented. But if you can leverage tools like AI first to map those information to digitalize those information into a digital format, and then from there we can actually be able to detect initial fraudulent activities. Doesn't need to be per se in that 100%, but actually what I can say is that at least lower the time and the cost that will be associated with detecting those fraudulent. I think that would be a one big step ahead. So that was just also to answer the question of Tanvi in support of what Kunal has shared, a part of it. So yeah, I think over to you, Kunal, I think for further.
I
Yes.
think we have one more question here. Arvind wants to know exactly what patterns you are looking for. Okay. So when we like, it's difficult to answer your question with myself sitting here. So these patterns, right? That's where AI shines because the patterns that it finds, uh, you have to then like go in and analyze why it found those patterns and all of that. That's why I made my point about explainable AI. But if I have to share an example of the type of patterns, right? So let's say I have ADHD. ADHD is a condition that a lot of people suffer from, and the medication for that is something that is a stimulant, and stimulants are considered very controlled drugs, and the they are available legally. They are available only through a prescription. So let's say there is there is someone has a health insurance policy that allows them to that covers them for mental health as well, and now they're making a claim that they have a recurring prescription for ADHD, uh, that they are they are now going to ask the insurance provider to provide the cost for medication for. Now what kind of patterns, like we put this into the AI, what kind of patterns does it look? Okay, so it's say, okay, this person wants ADHD medication. This person is like lives according to their documentation. They live at a certain address somewhere in the city, and their doctor, and this was like it knows that this was an offline consultation. The doctor that they chose to go to uh, lives on the other side of the city, right? Why did the person travel that far for a first consultation for a diagnosis of ADHD? Now the AI looks into how many times this person has claimed this particular condition in the past. It can check, okay, hey, we have in our system, we have this person logged in as having reached out to three different therapists, three different psychiatrists close to the area. And these three different psychiatrists denied him the medication, well, did not think this person could be diagnosed with ADHD. And then, like, this person looked and looked and looked and went to this psychiatrist on the other side of the city and finally got this diagnosis and now is applying for the insurance to cover it. So that's suspicious, right? Why is this person trying so hard to get this diagnosis when qualified psychiatrists within the network have repeatedly said no? So that is information that then the insurance person can take into account that, hey, I think we will need you to, get another consultation with a recommended doctor from within the system, and then we will be able to verify your claim, right? So this pattern is something that, you know, if I am sitting down and I'm processing 100 health insurance claims a day, I maybe won't look into this, right? I maybe will like think, okay, why not? They decided to travel that far and like, get that consultation, and now they're looking for it, and I pass it. Now the insurance provider is providing this person with medication that maybe they don't need, or I do think that that is suspicious, that, the addresses don't match. This person is going so far from their house to get this consultation and this diagnosis, that is suspicious. Now I have to put in my time and effort to go into the system, to look into previous consultations, to look into what data we have on this patient, to look into uh, reasons, to find reasons why we think we should deny this claim. So there's the difference, right? The AI picks up on these patterns on the get go, it gives you a response, and you can then use that response to make your decision. Or you make that decision on yourself and you have to find all the supporting evidence yourself. One of those processes is much more time consuming than the other. So that's the sort of pattern. That is one example of the kind of patterns that AI can detect right off the bat and give you an eligibility uh, like output much quicker than a traditional AI process, traditional human-led process would. Okay, I think we're very close to the end of our presentation. I think the last question we have is from Rodney, who wants to know if we will be sharing a recorded version of this presentation. Rodney, this will be hosted on LinkedIn on this same link for you to review whenever you want. And in addition to that, if you want, I can share a local recording with you so you can, watch this and share it with your colleagues at any time, and everyone else as well. Uh, Thank you for attending our session today. We hope that we were able to share insights with you that will be useful in you making the decision to use AI in your company, recommend AI to your colleagues, or just think about adopting AI in your workflows. Uh, if you want to do that with a custom solution, if you want to look into all the possibilities where AI can help you, you can reach out to Omdena. We build custom solutions for companies. We build them quick. We build them at a lower cost. So You can reach out to us at any time. I will drop mine and James's emails in the comments, and you can reach out to us for that information anytime. And we hope to see you soon on future workshops that we will be holding on AI in the coming weeks. I think we are planning one soon that will be focused on healthcare. And I think we will have James on that one as well. So we hope to see you on that one and all the others that we're doing. And we hope to keep sharing the potential of AI with you in the future. So thanks everyone. Thanks for coming and have a nice day or evening. Depends on where you are. But yeah, we'll catch you soon. James, if you also want to say bye.
Yeah, just wish you a good time right there. I hope there are different people coming out from different parts of the world. So I think I'll be very delighted to have you in our upcoming session in the healthcare. It's going to be hot, and stay tuned on that. Cheers.
Thanks everyone. Good night. Bye.